Hey guys, today I'm going to run you through my build on Constellars. Now the first thing you'll notice obviously are the Tenkeys and the Bears and the Gorillas. I think that's probably a pretty popular thing to do. I actually made this deck without any sort of net decking. I played against a couple of decks and kind of went off what they did. Added a couple things, took out a couple things. I mean, a lot of this is pretty generic. I'm sure it's like a lot of other builds out there. So, if you guys have any normal kind of suggestions, go ahead and post them. I'll read through them. So, obviously, because Koust is a Beast Warrior and is integral to the deck, I felt like Tenkey was a great addition. I'm sure many people do. Not so sure how many people run Bears and Gorillas. I personally think 2 Bears is good and 2 Gorillas. Mainly because Bear plays really well at Playdos, and Gorilla plays really well on its own. I like to bounce back Tenkeys with Playdos, and I like to replay them. And when they have no monster on the field thanks to Playdos, it's very easy to get Bear to go off. Next I have 3 Algieti, 3 Koust, and 3 Pollux. They're kind of self-explanatory. 2 Effect Veilers and 2 Maxis. Effect Veilers, you could argue, are a little overkill with 2 Fiendish Chains, but that's what I'm doing for now. 2 Constellar Star Charts, 1 Dark Hole, 3 Tenkey, 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Monster Reborn, 2 Mysticals, 1 Pot of Avarice, and 2 Dualities, as well as 1 Rhoda. 2 Compulsory, 2 Fiendish Chain, 2 Mirror Force, 1 Judgment, 1 Warning, and 2 Threatening Roar. The traps are the only things I really play around with. I thought about putting cylinders in over forces, forces over fiendish, fiendish over this over that. The 2 Threatening Roars are actually in there because they play really well with Playdos. It's nice to be able to chain a Threatening Roar, save Playdos from being destroyed by battle, and still get to use its effect. In the case that they don't want you to use this effect, they will always burn resources to get to him. Same thing with cards like Maxi. Maxi stops their turn. Mirror Force really puts a damper in plans. It just really depends on how it plays out, and so far this has worked pretty well. I think I've won about 75% of single games. Most of my losses are a lot of decks like E-Dragon, stuff like that. This deck doesn't play the best against them sometimes. Sometimes it does okay. It really depends. My extra deck is pretty standard. Catastor, Mistworm. I run Cardinal, Tiger King. I run 2 Constellar Omegas. I think these 2 cards were extremely overrated when they were about to come out. They pre-ordered for twice as much as they are selling for right now, and I do not personally think that they revolutionized this deck. In fact, I hardly ever play it, and I'm very much considering dropping down to 1 or none. 2 Constellar Playdos. Although I get the chance to play multiple, there are more times than not where he ends up being Pot of Avarice, or I have to use his effect to return himself. 2 M7s, 1 Maystroke, 1 Shockmaster, 1 Utopia, 1 Starleech Paladynamo, and 1 Steelswarm Roach. A couple of things to finish up. I actually do play Mistworm every now and then. Catastor is always nice to have. Cardinal is extremely nice. Tiger King's nice. It does make me sometimes want to put Tensu in the deck. I'm not totally sure if I want a Tensu in the deck, but it could potentially play out fairly nicely. Shockmaster in this deck does not seem to be as effective as Shockmaster in other decks. My personal favorite deck is 6. When I Shockmaster in the 6, they tend to have 3 or 4 cards left in their hand. This deck takes a minimum of 3 cards from your hand just to play Shockmaster. Now, granted, Shockmaster can be very nice, but right now, it is extremely hard to blind Shockmaster. If you go against E-Dragons and call spells, that sucks. If you go against Prophecies and call monster effects, that sucks. So it really depends on your playstyle. Finally, if anyone has any ideas, anything I can do to the deck to tweak it, any cool little, just anything you want to do to the deck, let me know. I'd love to play around with your ideas. Additionally, if you have any decks that are interesting that you would like me to play with, I would love to play those decks. Just, you can private message me or you can post them down in the comment section, and I look forward